Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the CDL podcast channel. In this episode today, going to be just like last week, going to be a full-on Rostermania episode. We're going to talk all about all the things happening. A lot has shifted since the last time we talked. Brock and I were talking about OpTic Drazah and how the team would look, who Faze was going to pick up. We weren't sure exactly about what was happening with Ultra. We thought maybe Envoy, but we've got a lot more stuff. We have the first official confirmed player on a roster for 2024. As well as OpTic Texas tweeted, what would you do to make your perfect Call of Duty? So Brock and I are going to discuss that quickly at the end of the episode. So if you guys enjoy Rostermania and talking OG CODs, drop a like, drop a subscription on this video. We'd appreciate all the support. You guys have been killing it. I think at the time of hitting record, we are one sub off the 1100 mark. We're at 1099. So we really appreciate all the support. We just hit 1,000 and you guys are crushing it. And we're almost 100 more later at 1100. So we really appreciate all the support. And without further ado, let's get into this one. Brock, how you doing today?
Ooh, good old day on a Monday. Hot as balls out here in Wisconsin.
Yeah, it's hot.
Other than that, some more Rostermania stuff popping off. So let's get into it.
Yeah, it's 90 degrees in Wisconsin humidity. It is not a fun time. It's different than the 90 degrees like when we were out in Vegas.
That's way different.
This feels hotter than the 105 degree day in Vegas. This 90 degrees here feels hotter than that. It's brutal. But let's talk some Rostermania. We've got a lot to talk about today, actually. Things are starting to shake out. They're not, fully there. It's maybe going to take a little time, a little bit longer off season this year. But of our top teams, things are starting to shake out. Not confirmed, really, but we have a better picture. I mean, we thought we had a picture last week. We thought Drazah was on OpTic, but obviously that changed. First thing I want to talk about, though, is Toronto. Apparently, this is about 6 days old at this point, but it happened, of course, right after we recorded. It was a rumor, but now it's basically confirmed. He's apparently fully made his decision, and Envoy wants to join Ultra. Apparently, he turned down a Boston offer that was more money. And according to Jacob Hale, it was a solid squad. We don't know exactly what it was. The rumor was that it was like Slasher, Ghosty, Envoy, and Snoopy. I don't know if that's exactly the squad he's thinking of, but apparently he turned on more money and a solid squad to join Ultra, which makes us believe, obviously, that the trio will be sticking around because I don't think Envoy would turn down more money and a good team if Scrappy wasn't going to be there on Ultra.
Yeah, 100%.
There's no way.
Yeah, that Boston team, though, if that was the roster, it's not a bad team.
No, it's not bad at all. I think it could have been a very good team. It's definitely no Toronto Ultra team of this rumored roster with the trio and adding Envoy. I mean, I guess I was going to ask if you think it's the best move of Rostermania, but we have a little segment we want to talk about that. So we'll save that for now, what you thought the best move of the top 4 teams was. But also Adam, I don't know how to say his last name, so I might butcher this, but Adamu. Don't know if I said that right, but he's the CEO of Overactive Media, which is Ultra's parent company. He said apparently, and he tweeted this, that Ultra had no discussions incoming or like outgoing with any team about buying their players. So apparently they didn't have any discussions about anybody acquiring Insight, Kleenex, or Scrappy. They didn't call anyone. Nobody called them. They just shut down all conversations, is what they said. Interesting, because that's not what we were hearing early on.
Yes.
And the players seem to be very upset. So somebody is lying here.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know who it is, but someone is.
Yeah, and I would be inclined to believe him. And we heard Ben J. Nassim, apparently he's got some contacts in the Ultra organization. He was saying that he had heard that this wasn't true, and what the media was saying wasn't true.
Okay.
I don't know, because we'll talk about this in a second here, but apparently Faze was wanted Scrappy and was pursuing him pretty heavily. And I would think that it wouldn't have taken them so long to pivot to Drazah. Not that it took them a long time, but it was like a good week after Rostermania, or I guess a few days after Rostermania had started, which in Rostermania time, 3-4 days is a lot of time. But it was a good few days before they came around to getting Drazah. And if Scrappy wasn't available, you think right away during Rostermania, that was the first choice. They called Ultra. And if Ultra instantly shut them down, they would have pivoted to Drazah or somebody a lot faster. And maybe they did. We just didn't see it at the time.
Maybe
something's weird here.
Yeah, maybe they were trying to get maybe Sib before Pred. Not Pred. Drazah, but that doesn't seem likely.
Yeah, that doesn't seem likely either, because Sib would have taken that.
Yeah. So that was like, I don't know. They're just waiting a couple extra days and then pivot to Drazah, as you said.
Yeah, and unless maybe they did pivot to Drazah right away, and he was truly leaning OpTic early on, and then flipped his mind or something like that. But I find it very hard to believe that they didn't even take a call. Like somebody called and said, "Hey, is Scrap available?" I find it hard to believe they just hung up the phone. I mean, if they were smart, they did hang up the phone because you keep Scrappy because he's potentially a best player in the league type of player.
Yeah.
But I mean, we'll talk about this, but I think this is an incredible move, and I like Hecz has been saying it, and Octane was saying it. They think it's the best overall move of Rostermania so far of what we've heard, and we'll talk about what we think. But in terms of individual like pack a punch, if you want to say it that way, I do think it's the biggest upgrade because like Drazah to Slasher, sure maybe it's an upgrade, but both pretty even players. Like sure Drazah is probably better, but like Slasher is right up there.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess Pred over Hook is a pretty big upgrade in my mind as well. But I mean, Envoy is basically Hexy, but like does that exact role with a 0.3 better KD.
Yeah.
And
just a lot better.
Yeah. He's basically the best version of what Hexy is as a player. Envoy is like the best version of that type of player.
Yes. It's a good way to put it.
It's an incredible upgrade. We'll talk about it again, like I said a million times, but it might be my favorite roster so far coming out of Rostermania. This is an incredible move. I love it.
Definitely one of them.
It's an incredible move. And it's not being talked about because it's not the big splash of an OpTic and a Faze like the big orgs. It's just not being talked about, but it is a great move. Speaking of, we just talked about him, Faze. Apparently they wanted Scrappy right away. They kicked the tires on that, and nothing came to fruition from that. And they steal Drazah from OpTic from the looks of it. The report came out that Drazah, they never said it was a guarantee, but they said he was leaning towards OpTic. And we'll talk about our take on OpTic's rumored roster. I think both teams might have won out on this, and that might be a hot take to a lot of people, but I think both teams benefited from this. I think who OpTic got fits their team better than Drazah would have, and I also think Drazah fits Faze amazing, and that team is going to be very, very good. But Drazah to Faze, I mean, unless they basically picked up somebody without thumbs, they're still going to be good. But Drazah brings a lot in S&D, and incredible player, incredible talent. This team is going to be scary.
Definitely.
I also think, in terms of league storylines, it's incredible because Drazah is obviously viewed as kind of like a villain, and now that he maybe said he was going to OpTic or was rumored and then backed out, maybe some OpTic fans are going to be a little bit hateful towards him. And from a viewership perspective, it's going to make things fun because Faze were already kind of like a villain team. They're always booed when they go on stage, and Drazah gets the F you Drazah trans and gets booed. So him joining that team is just going to like add fuel to that fire. It's going to make the league fun. I feel like he's going to be talking his trash. I'm excited to see what this team looks like.
Yeah, definitely. That's why I've kind of viewed Drazah as more like a villain.
And he does fit the team really well. The only thing I would say I'm a little bit concerned with, Octane mentioned it, and Octane, it's so nice for this. Only for this reason, it's nice that he retired. I still wish he was playing, but it's nice because all of his Thieves teammates are getting, dealt to different teams, albeit they're all going to like the top 4 teams. And he has a good insight on what they bring as players. And like he even said with the Kenny to OpTic thing that we'll talk about in a little bit, he thinks it's a better fit for OpTic than Drazah is, just because OpTic doesn't really need more kills. They need more communication and leadership, and that's what Kenny brings. But it's my only initial concern with this Faze roster is Cellium is not the most vocal player. He said Drazah has decent comms, but he's not like the most vocal in respawn. He is at S&D. Abezy, I don't think is the most vocal. Once again, I think has fine comms, but I don't think he's like a super IGL type player. And Simp, I think, is the most, like, probably the closest to IGL. He has very good comms, but once again, I don't really want Simp having to take on the burden of all that. I want him to just go fry.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, in my mind, he's maybe the most talented player I've ever watched. I always say that. So I would like Simp to just go fry. That's my one concern if I had to pick one out with this team is the respawn communication.
Maybe Drazah will get better at that before that season starts, too.
He definitely could. And I say it as a concern. I still think this team is going to be top 2 respawn team probably, or like right up there is the best. It's probably going to flip. At some point, OpTic's probably going to be the best. Faze will be the best. Maybe NYSL will be the best. Like it's going to flip Toronto. But they're going to be right up there. Even if their comms don't get a ton better, this team's still going to win more respawns than they lose.
Mm-hmm. Can be definitely a battle between the top teams this year.
Well, it's insane. I heard like Ake saying something about it. Like, usually the top 3 or 4 teams are kind of like head and shoulders above. It's like they're the ones competing for the event wins, and maybe another team could sneak one out.
Mm-hmm.
But the interesting thing is, who were our top teams last year? So for a while there, it was OpTic. Faze was obviously up there. Ultra was up there. New York was up there. And Thieves was up there, right? Those are probably like our big 5. And then, like he said, half of Surge was also the top team. So Sib and Pred, they were also like the top players.
Mm-hmm.
Now, think about this. Entire Thieves team, Octane leads the CDL, but the rest of the Thieves players join those other top 4 teams. Because like last year we'd say our top 4 was probably OpTic, Faze, NYSL, and Toronto.
Yeah.
So now you have Thieves players spreading out onto the top 4 teams.
Yep.
They're all joining those, and the 2 like studs from Seattle are also spreading out into the top 4 teams.
Mm-hmm.
So now,
top 4 is getting more stacked.
Yeah, so all the players from the 5th best team last year are spreading out onto those top 4, and then the 2 superstars from the 6th best team are spreading out into that top 4 as well. So 5 players that were in the 5 and 6 are going to the top 4, and like nobody's leaving apart from Priestahh and Hecz, which insane to think about. Like the top 4 might be dominant this year.
Literally, yeah. Definitely be scared for those bottom teams.
Oh, it's yeah, and I mean, we'll talk about Boston a little bit when we get there, but I respect what they're doing right now. But yeah, scary for the bottom teams. It's a year where it's tough to build a roster because all the top talent went to one spot or like one group of teams, and you didn't really have much of a chance because these teams are just stacking rosters to try to compete with each other.
Yeah.
Tough situation. Kind of a tangent on the Drazah thing. There was a clip going around on Twitter, which, by the way, is extremely out of context for what it was about. I tweeted about it, and my phone was blown. People were spamming the likes. I think that thing had like 50 likes or something. But I basically said what Methods is saying he's correct on if you're talking about the right situation. Like depending on what we're talking about here, but it was taken super out of context. It basically, the clip made it look like Methods said, if you're a COD player, no matter what, you take the OpTic offer if you get it. And well, that's kind of what he was saying. It's super out of context. He wasn't just saying you blindly take the OpTic offer no matter what.
Yeah.
I do agree with him though. Like if you're looking at the future of your long-term career in the gaming space, I don't think there's a way you turn down the OpTic offer. Like if it's me, there's no way I'm turning down the OpTic offer because of the chances it gives you. Like sure, Faze is a big organization, but Simp had been making content for a very long time, and he has a very respectable YouTube following, but I think it's maybe like 20K. I don't really know exactly what it's at, but it's something very respectable, but it's not, Shotzi's blow up he's had, or obviously Scump, Nadeshot, those guys blow ups they had on OpTic.
Yep.
Like if you're looking for your long-term career longevity, I think he's absolutely right. Like there's no way you can turn on the OpTic offer. However, if you're a player like an Aches or a John Brock's fair player from back in the day, or somebody that just is all about competing and you just don't really care, like content's not for you, you don't want to do it after you retire, then absolutely you look at the Faze roster and you take that, because to play with that trio is the most guaranteed tournament success you can have. They're literally in like every grand finals. So absolutely, in that case, you take the Faze offer. But if you're looking to do content post your career, I think you have to take the OpTic offer because you can turn it into something insane.
Yeah, it's like OpTic's bad too. They're still top 2, top 3 team.
Yeah, that was the weird take. It was like you were talking about old OpTic, where like a third was really good for them, where they weren't like the most insane team.
Yeah.
It was like we were talking about like either you win or you go to OpTic. Well, you could also win on OpTic. Like it's not like playing with Dashy, Shotzi, and Pred is just like such a tough thing to do. Like that's a very good trio to play with as well.
Yeah, it's not like they're bad.
No. I'm still obviously taking the Faze trio over anybody for pure winning because they do it the most consistently of anybody. Until somebody proves they can do it more consistently, you have to always go with the Faze trio.
Yeah. It's definitely person to person, though, on what they want to do, like you said.
Yeah. And if you're not interested in content, absolutely. Take whatever offer you believe gives you the best chance to win, which is probably Faze.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was very taken out of context. It was like, and everybody like that knew what he was talking about and knew that it was out of context. He wasn't just blindly saying go to OpTic no matter what.
Yeah.
Like if you're somebody that just has no interest in content, you don't go there, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say I agree in the right circumstance. You always take the OpTic offer unless content doesn't interest you, then don't take it. Go to Faze and try to win more tournaments. Because also, if you're looking for money, Faze is the best place to make money because their tournament earnings compared to everybody else that came out was they're killing
A
everyone
lot.
else. Yeah,
It's a lot of money.
and we know that because they're basically in every grand final, so they're obviously making a lot of money off of
Yeah.
prize winnings.
Yeah.
All right, then the big one everybody wants us to talk about, Brock. OpTic are not officially, but apparently they have set their sights now on Kenny. This was a roller coaster. It didn't. I'm not gonna lie, I did not have this on my bingo card.
Me either, to be honest.
I mean, I thought, to be honest, going into the offseason, I thought it was Sib and Pred was what I thought was gonna happen.
Mhm.
I was gonna be Sib and Pred, and then the Drazah thing came out, and I'm like, okay, that makes sense. And then after the Drazah thing fell through, I thought we were gonna go back to Sib. And then I thought in my mind before the whole Ghosty stuff came out, I thought maybe they bring back Ghosty now that Drazah backed out.
Mhm.
No, they're gonna bring back Sib, and then the Kenny thing comes out, and I obviously talked about it on Twitter. People were talking to me, and Kyle came out with a meme. I don't know if you saw that, Brock.
I don't think so, actually.
Well, while I'm talking about this, go to my Twitter for the podcast Twitter and look at one of my replies. Kyle tweeted a meme at me. As I basically was tweeting about it. Everybody knows, Brock knows, my favorite player in the league is Kenny. Since I saw him a little bit in
Yeah.
AW, didn't remember it much, but since World War II, been my favorite player. And I basically tweeted like, well, I'm gonna have to defend Kenny from the green wall all year because he's my favorite player. So I just kind of defend him.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like a meme for the podcast also. But now I'm gonna have to be defending him from the most vocal fan base in the league.
Yeah, good old Kenny.
I mean, let's get your thoughts on the move because obviously many people are very shocked, thought that they were going to sign Sib after Drazah moves onto Faze. I want to know your analysis on this one, your deep dive into it, because I'll say my thoughts on the move for after you.
Well, Kenny was not my card to leave LA Thieves, first of all, so I was kind of shocked when that news came out. So, but I do like Kenny for optics. You know, he got good comms, good leadership, like Octane said on the Merkin Maven podcast, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, he can run both guns to like top tier.
Yep.
And I think he's just a better choice for than Sib, because Sib's not really, like, I think he's more quiet, but he has Gunny. So Optic doesn't really need Gunny; they need comms, leadership.
Yep, I fully agree with everything you're saying. I think, could they have gone wrong with Drazah or Sib? Absolutely not. They both would have been great pickups. However, I think for what they need, I agree. I think Kenny, and I thought this going into the offseason, like when I knew Kenny was available, I thought he'd be a perfect fit for OpTic, but I just didn't think it was a possibility. Especially once I heard him say he was wanting to run a flex, I thought right away, like, that's the perfect player for OpTic, but I just thought it's Sib or it's Drazah, and it's just, that's what they're going to go with. But I think because he's a lot in some ways like a Ghosty, where he brought a lot of comms and OpTic instantly got a lot better when that happened. And I think he's like the perfect fit because, like, from what Octane said, he's like one of the best Call of Duty minds, or like the best COD mind he'd ever been around. Where, he was like, you know, we'd be practicing, and like Octane was like somewhere across the entire map from Kenny in a hard point, and Kenny was in a corner waiting for a 2-piece, like couldn't even see Sam on the mini map, couldn't see what he was doing. But Octane would make like an incorrect play, and then Kenny would be like, okay, go to the VOD at this minute, this second, you did this across the map. Like, why'd you do this? You should have done this. And Octane would be like, how did you even know that happened? You were across the map. Like, how did you know that that's the way that play shook out? And it's just like, he's just one of those guys. It's like when you hear like LeBron talk about a basketball play. Like one of those guys that just has like a mind for the game that is just like, it's just, he was meant to do it.
Just things different.
Yeah, he's just got a great mind for the game. And let's be honest, I mean, if Sib or Drazah joins the team, disgusting. I mean, they're incredible players. Raw talent-wise at this point in their career, Sib and Drazah probably ahead of Kenny. But I don't think they needed more kills. I think they need more, you know, correct play on the map, and communication and leadership, and somebody that's going to hold them accountable to watch a VOD. And like Octane said, if you're not watching VOD, Kenny will call you out.
Yeah.
I think this is more what OpTic needs. And my biggest thing is like everybody's saying like they didn't need more kills with Sib and Pred, or with Sib and Drazah, like I just said, they're acting like Kenny just doesn't shoot his gun.
They're just only basing off last year because he had a down year.
Like, did we forget that Kenny won Champs MVP and Major 4 MVP in Vanguard?
Yeah, I think about some people that we know.
He won back-to-back MVPs in the last title before this one. Is he like the most insane player, like gonna drop a 1.3 every event? No. But like that's like the worst argument I hear, and I heard Octane kind of losing full about it, and I'm losing full about it too, because everybody knows him, but Kenny stan, but like we're acting like Sib and Pred are like, better talent wise, but sure, mechanically, maybe Sib is better, maybe Drazah is better. But to say that like Kenny that you're like implying that like Kenny just like can't get kills. That's just not true.
He can definitely get kills unless he YYs.
Yeah, he might be YY too much.
I love it.
Yeah, but that's just really annoyed me. The whole like, no, where they're losing the mechanical skill, but they get a leader. They're acting like he's gonna walk out there and drop a 0.4 and be a coach on the map. Like the dude can shoot straight, and I guarantee you he's gonna have some maps this year where he takes over and he's the best player in respawn for them at times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he's like a complete player. Good at
exactly
everything.
I will say I do think, compared to like the Drazah move, it is a downgrade in search and destroy. I think if they had Drazah, they'd be a better search team.
Yeah.
But I mean, I still think a team with Shotzzy and Pred on the front line, Dashy with a snipe and Kenny, I think will still be a very good search and destroy team. I do think obviously Drazah is the better search player, but I love Kenny to this roster. I think it's the best case scenario of what really could happen for them this offseason. It's who I would have liked to see them pick up, but it just never seemed like a possibility because of Sib being available was my initial thought, and then the Drazah rumors. I actually thought maybe Priestahh would be headed to this team. That's a good tangent to go to this, because I mean I never thought Priestahh going into the offseason would be headed to them, because I thought he was guaranteed to be back in New York. But this is the weirdest move.
Yeah,
of Kenny, the offseason.
Because Kenny's just in the 100th Hall of Fame. He's been there for a while, basically. I did not think he'd be available.
No, but I'm saying the weirdest move is Priestahh.
Oh yeah, like, Priestahh.
Like this wasn't even weird. A thought in your mind that Priestahh would be available or moving, and also talk about it's going to be a fall from grace for Priestahh from where he was, because he's on a back-to-back event-winning, ring-winning 3 wins on the season out of 6 events. So he's going to fall out of the top 4 teams because Faze is not going to pick him up. They're set. Obviously, he's falling off NYSL, one of our top 4 teams. OpTic isn't picking him up unless maybe they make a switch. And Ultra is not picking him up. He's going to fall to like a Boston or an LAT, which maybe still would be a good team, but he falls from the defending champs to probably out of the top 4. And something weird is going on here, but apparently they're signing Sib to replace him, and Priestahh is just out. After winning back-to-back events in a world championship, he's just out.
Yeah, they said contract negotiations, we're not there.
That is bullshit.
Something's weird that we don't know yet.
The team didn't want him. The players didn't want him. You cannot convince me otherwise.
It's so weird how that is a win. Like, we don't want you.
I heard Octane. I was listening to the flank from last night. I heard Octane and Hecz and Parasite, these guys talking about it. The players didn't want to play with him anymore. There's no other way to explain this. Because like Octane was saying, after you win a world championship, you have all the leverage.
Yeah.
Because you go to your management and you're like, we want to stick together. We just won you a world championship. What are they going to say? I don't know if you guys are worth it. What do you mean? We just won you 3 events in the world championship.
Yeah.
Like, they have all the leverage in the world. And you're telling me that like apparently they signed Kiz to a new deal or extended him, and they have Hydra on his new deal, and they have Skies, and they wanted Priestahh to take a little bit less money, unless it was some like you're going to take $100,000 pay cut or something like crazy big amount of money.
Yeah.
You're telling me that like if it was a few $1,000s, that was the difference. Either A, he wanted to just like sucked it up for 1 year and be like, yeah, I want to keep competing with my boys, or B, if it was like Skies, Hydra, and Kismet wouldn't take a couple $1,000 pay cut to be able to keep their boy.
Yeah, it's so weird.
And New York has rated Sib very highly for a long time. It's been well documented. Apparently, they like tried to buy him out from Faze after like Cold War or something. When Seattle ended up getting him, they tried to buy him out or something like that.
Ooh, that's interesting. I did not
so
know
the
that.
Management has always liked him, I guess, but it's so weird to me. Obviously, like we haven't heard like Skies or Hydra or Sender or anybody like say anything about this, but
Yeah.
something's not right here. I think that it's the players they saw everybody else making moves and they wanted to pack a punch and
Yep.
quote unquote pack a punch because I'm not so sure this is a guaranteed pack a punch. Like Aches was saying in the flank, it's like this is a pack a punch. Sib is better, but it's kind of the OpTic thing. Does this team need more kills or they need a gap filler like Priestahh?
Yeah, I don't think they need more kills with the Hydra Kismet Skies.
Yeah, I agree. I think they need somebody like Priestahh, who what was the stat you said the other day? He
Yeah,
led all of champs in assists.
yeah. He like it was like I think like over 100, and like the next person was like 70 or 80. I swear.
Yeah, that's not an accident. That did just oops. Priestahh got a
Yeah.
bunch of assists because he was just making guys one shot and like couldn't finish a kill. No, that was deliberate. That was intentional.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
He'll take
he's a
routes.
gap filler. He'll take routes, and Sib is a great player, but Sib is not a gap filler.
Mm-hmm.
Sib is a
Definitely.
slayer. Sib is a kill heavy player. He's not going to fill your gaps. It's kind of similar to like what Simp was doing for Faze this year. Simp
Yeah.
was like a gap filler, and Simp is not a gap filler. Can he do it? Sure. But let me tell you, if I see on my team Simp is being a gap filler, I'm doing everything I can to switch that up because Simp is disgusting and he needs to be running around. It's like the same thing. He's playing with Hydra and Kismet. Like he's going to fill in all the gaps so that Hydra doesn't have to do it and he can go run around and kill everything.
Yeah.
Like Sib is an incredible player and maybe mechanically is an upgrade from Priestahh, but I don't know that for this team it's a significant upgrade. You lose out on comms. Priestahh's comms are going to be better. Priestahh's a proven winner. He's the winningest player in the CDL era. Do you know that?
I did know that from I think the Merchant Maven for the Octane.
Yeah. Like sure they might I think they're still going to be really good because this team is still disgusting. Talent wise, they're incredible and they might even get better maybe because Sib is mechanically more skilled than Priestahh. Everything chemistry wise stays the same, but something's not right here, and I want answers to why he was dropped because I think his boys snaked him and did him dirty. Is my initial reaction.
That would probably make the most sense, which is very unfortunate if that does come to fruition in the
And
news.
like, it's the first time we're ever going to see a champs team not run it back when they weren't forced.
Yeah.
So like sometimes they didn't run it back the next year early on when champs was in like March, but that's because you had still months and months more of events.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they ended up breaking up, before that next game. But even in the era where champs was at the end of the year, which was starting in Black Ops 3, we had every team since then run it back except when teams were forced to change.
By
So
switch.
yeah, but even the 5v5 switch, technically that team did stay together.
Yeah.
Going into
That
Black
is
Ops 4
true.
and they just added Hook on Envy. They went from EG to Envy and added Hook.
Yeah.
But they were forced to switch kind of from Black Ops 4 going into MW. United was kind of forced to switch, with franchise and United not getting a spot.
Yep.
All of them demanding very hefty contracts because they were coming off a world championship. And then from MW down to Cold War, obviously the Empire team was forced to switch because we went from 5v5 to 4v4.
Yep.
So those are the only times the world championship team has ever switched going into that next season because it was only because they were forced to. Like they couldn't keep the same roster. And this New York team was a dominant team too. They had won back to back.
Yeah, won 3 out of 6 tournaments.
It's unprecedented. I still can't believe it happened.
It's so weird. Yeah, like you said, some snaking must be going on.
Yeah. We'll talk about Priestahh again in a minute because I have something else. There's a rumor that came out about him a little while ago. But first of all, we mentioned we were going to talk about it. Let's talk about it now. Who had the best roster mania of all the teams? If all of these shake out to be true between the top 4, between NYSL, OpTic, Faze, and Ultra, how do you rank their roster manias? Maybe put them in order. And like this can be whatever you want. Who do you think made the biggest single upgrade? Who do you think came out with the best roster? It's up to interpretation, however you want to rank, however you thought they won roster mania. And I'll say who I put number 1, I don't necessarily think is going to end up being the best team next year, but I just think in terms of just pure upgrades, I think it was the best upgrade. So let's let you go first. Who do you think won this roster mania if all these shake out to be true for the top 4 teams?
First would probably have to be OpTic because they got Pred, and supposedly Kenny for Ghosty and Hook, which
Okay.
both upgrades in my mind.
That's interesting because a lot of people I've been seeing are having them at 3, and that's where I think I was going to put them as well.
Really?
I think it's fair though. I
It
will
is
say
fair.
I think NYSL is 4 no matter what. Even though I
I
think
was,
that could be an upgrade, I think they're 4 no matter what.
yeah, I was gonna put NYSL as 4.
And I'll say between the other 3, I'm okay with you putting any of them at 1. I can see the argument for all of them. I think like the one you mentioned, Pred is a significant upgrade over Hook, like massive upgrade. And I think Kenny is at least lateral with Ghosty, and I think could potentially be an upgrade. But I think Ghosty was very good.
He was.
I think it's maybe lateral, maybe a slight upgrade, maybe a slight downgrade. I think it's at least pretty close. So that's why I don't put OpTic at 1. That's probably why I end up putting him at 3. But I have Ultra at 1 because I think Faze went from great to great.
Yeah.
And I think Ultra went from really good to great. I think they made a little bit bigger jump because I think like Drazah over Slasher is maybe an improvement, but it was very good to very good, and I think Envoy is a significantly better player than Hecz. So I think they made the biggest jump from what their old team was. So I put Ultra 1. And that's spoiler, I put Phase 2 and OpTic 3.
Okay, so yeah, I was gonna put Ultra 2 with Phase 3 then. 4th.
It's fair.
And NYSL.
Yeah, they have to be 4th. They might get better, but they have to be 4th because it's just an L to drop your boy and snake your boy like that.
Don't run it back if you win. Come on.
Yeah, it's unreal. But I mean, I just think that
still all good teams though.
Yeah, I mean they're all great teams, but I don't know. I think that Ultra upgrade was the single biggest talent upgrade of any of the moves that were made.
Yeah, like I said earlier, no one's really talking about it since it's the Ultra.
Yeah, it's not OpTic or Faze. It's not those big names, and it hasn't been as dramatic. It was kind of just like, hey, he's going here, and nothing switched. Whereas like there was a lot of drama with Drazah picking OpTic, but then he actually picked Faze. Like NYSL is obviously dramatic because they're not running back their world championship roster.
Mm-hmm. The league will find out next year. About to drop the Ultra.
Yeah, they're going to be incredible.
Yes, they will be.
Going back to Priestahh. Apparently, the rumor came out today from Jacob Hale, CDL Intel, Ronnie, Scrimtel, all the guys that are reliable leakers. Basically, today said that apparently Slasher and Priestahh are rumored to be a team of 2. It's a very good AR duo.
It is. To me, it smells Hecz. They're going to Thieves to me with that.
You think?
If they're willing to spend any money, but it sounds like Thieves aren't really willing to spend.
I think they're going to Boston.
Ooh.
Because our rumor right now is that apparently, Boston is shelling out big cash. They were even shelling out more than Ultra was for Envoy. They offered him more. And apparently they're willing to spend where a lot of other orgs. And we're hearing that 100T LA Thieves might be significantly cutting costs across all esports, not just COD.
Mm-hmm.
And well, I'm sure they would not mind going back to that organization if the money is significantly better on Boston. I can see a world where they go team of 3 with Snoopy and Slash tries to take on a young talent like that. And dear God, pick up another sub. I saw that rumored roster, somebody was saying, Scrimtel was saying it could be a Slasher, Ghosty, Priestahh, Snoopy. Please, for the love of God, do not do that. Don't put Priestahh back to an SMG. We don't want to see that again. He can be okay on it, but he's a flex. Keep him at a flex.
He's been a flex for years now.
Yeah, keep him on a flex. I think, I could maybe pull up the free agents so I'm not forgetting anybody, but I think, Brock, you know who I want, my most underrated SMG in the market is, who I keep talking about.
Big Cap?
Bring him back. Bring back Cap. Of the other free agents, I guess Hook could potentially be available as a sub. Pretty good. I guess maybe Afro if you want to try to mold him as well. I don't know. Apparently, Snoopy's playstyle is a Shotzzy where he's gonna take routes and roam a little bit. Get Cap. Let Cap run it down. Just have 2 very moldable SMGs. Because let's be honest, our Slasher and Priestahh a very good duo, yes, but what wins in this league? SMGs. SMGs win you games.
They sure do.
Your ARs are good support players, but your SMGs win you games. And am I going to go with a steady player, like a known commodity, more of a Hook who's kind of up and down, or I'm going to go with Capsule, who, yeah, he's very up and down, but we don't know what his potential ceiling could be.
Yeah, could be really, really damn good.
Maybe even give me like an ASIM on this team to be really aggressive in front of Snoopy.
Ooh.
Like a Slasher, Priestahh, ASIM, and Snoopy, something like that. But yeah, apparently they're a team of two, and they're going to probably attract maybe the best SMG duo outside of the top four, potentially.
Yeah.
Because I would assume they're probably going to end up being the best AR duo that's formed outside of those top four teams.
Yeah. Trying to think. Yeah,
But,
yeah, roughly.
Unless like Clay gets somebody really good with him, like Clay Awakening, maybe something like that.
Yeah.
But I'll be interested to see where they go. To me, yeah, the favorites are probably Boston and Thieves. Maybe like a Surge or a Minnesota swoops in.
Yeah. Yeah. Those teams probably.
Yeah, it's probably between like one of those four teams ends up with them. But interesting team of two. I never thought I'd be saying Priestahh was a team of two with anybody going into this roster. Mania. I thought he was just locked in on subliners.
Gotta feel bad for him. It's unlucky.
Yeah. At least he got his ring, at the very least.
At least he did. He did get the ring.
Yeah. Speaking of that, I mean, I guess we can mention it. Snoopy was officially signed by Boston Breach for the season, for the 2024 season. It's the first like actual officially announced player to be signed for next season. And there's some cryptic tweets going out, Brock. Big Wake and Kremp kind of tweeting some, like what, like confused, like not happy about this. So they're upset that Snoopy, do they not like Snoopy? Are they upset with the way it was handled? I mean, Snoopy seems like a cool kid to me, but maybe they're just upset that like, he only played one event with them and they're just like, yeah, we're signing him. Whereas these guys spent a lot of time with the org and they're not getting their shot.
Yeah. They're rolling the dice with Snoopy from what they saw at Champs. I think he's really, really good.
They obviously think he has superstar type talent, which I got to respect it. If you think he's a superstar SMG, you roll the dice on him. I got to respect it because these teams are going to have to make big plays. With the way the top four are shaking out, you're going to have to swing for the fences and, maybe go for the slightly more risky player with the higher upside. And if he doesn't pan out, he doesn't pan out. But I will always respect the play of going for the home run, especially for a team like Boston, not playing it safe and just being, complacent and okay with a top 5, top 6 all the time.
Yeah, they're trying to win.
Yeah, and I will always respect that. But I don't mind it. I think Snoopy is a very talented player. Obviously, we're far from being able to like guarantee what his talent is because he's been playing for very little time.
Yeah, not long at all, really.
But I like it. He definitely showed flashes, and he clearly has a lot of talent. So I'm excited to see how he can play this year.
Yep, definitely.
Some sad news here. The Miami Heretics merger is apparently maybe not happening now.
No. Say it's fake.
So like, there's like a Miami Heretics Twitter handle that like tweeted a broken heart, and like, Florida, the Mutineers account, like quoted it, and now apparently like Eric Boom's tweeting that he's a free agent, and like those other players, like the Spanish players that were rumored to be on the roster, are maybe looking for spots. Which that also changes Rostermania a lot if true, because that opens up a roster. But we thought that was guaranteed; those 4 Spanish players were going there.
Yeah.
So that does change Rostermania a lot. Granted, Florida is probably not a desirable destination because they're probably going to be paying the minimum, so they're not like going to shake it up where they're going to probably pluck great players. But maybe not happening. This is more sad, just even for the fan base of the league, because that Spanish fan base is incredible. That Heretics following is incredible.
Yes.
I don't know what changed because like Method's sick. There's like a picture posted of him pointing at the Heretics jersey like a couple days ago, like it was going to be done, and now all of a sudden the trademark for Miami Heretics is abandoned, and
it's so weird. It's
like it happened so quick. It was like it's happening. Then one day it was like, no, it's not happening. I don't know what happened.
Maybe come out with a report say it's back on or something.
Yeah, I hope so, because it would be incredible for the league.
Yeah, I was excited for the Heretics to come back.
So was I. It brings some hype, and it brings a new fan base in that's very passionate. That Spanish fan base is passionate for their squad.
Oh, it's passionate, and they follow their stuff.
Yeah, and you get to see the spam of Vamos in the chat was always funny in Black Ops 4.
Yep.
Also, I always just like found it funny when they went to their listen-ins. Because it was like for the Spanish speakers out there, and for their fans, it's probably awesome to hear those comms. But like, it's always like, let's go and do a listening with Heretics, and they like ask the casters, like the casters would be like, yeah, I have no idea if that was a good listening or not because I couldn't understand it. I always thought that was so funny.
Yeah, it's just like I don't know what to say, but something
Yeah.
probably good.
Like Merc and Maven are like yeah, those comms are flowing. They were talking fast, they were getting it out, and they sounded like they had some passion. I had no idea what I was saying, and I always like that's so funny that it's like, well, it would be really cool. I mean, and if that was a thing, I would really hope they would get like a translator or something, or like a Spanish speaker, like that's like a third caster just for that match to like.
Yeah,
Even if it didn't happen during the match, because the logistics of that might be hard, like a post match, like they used to do with Revan on the Telestrator, it'd be kind of cool if he would like break down the listen and like, oh, I hear that they were just talking about this. Here's what they said in this small talk. It'd be kind of cool if they like had somebody to break that down.
yeah, definitely. I don't know Spanish really.
Yeah, I took French, so I also do not know Spanish.
I see your tweet. Kyle posted.
Oh yeah, me defending Kenny.
Kenny stands.
Yeah, that's funny stuff. But apparently now, I mean, you might have to hold me back on just raging at this one, but apparently Mutineers, this Heretics thing might not be happening. That really sucks. They might not go with the Spanish roster then. You know what their pivot was? They
What
said,
was
let's build around Vickle and Brack. Huh?
Well, it's probably not. Maybe Vickle, but not. I don't know. About
Vickle,
Brack.
okay, but come on. Brack, I think he's a fine player. I think he's good, but like let him get a crack somewhere else if somebody wants him. Like you've seen that. You were bad last year, and I get, Brack did not play bad. I'm not saying Brack sucks or doesn't deserve to be in the league, but like to get some new blood in there. And I mean, Capsidal, hello, he was your best player at the end of last year. He was better than Vickle at the end of last year. He was frying.
Yeah, if they're not doing Heretics, pick up Capsidal.
But then at that point, you really can't, because I'll also be honest, if you're going to keep Brack and Vickle, I don't want you to pick up Cap because I don't want to see that team get run back because they sucked.
Yeah.
So I don't want to see that team get run back. But that's just so weird that their pivot was, yeah, let's pick up Brack right away, or let's make Brack and Vickle a team of two instead of really evaluating their options.
Mm-hmm. They'll probably pick up Havoc again.
Yeah, for the 18th time.
Yeah.
That'd be funny. That'd be funny. Yeah, then really the last rumor that we have, and apparently this one like might be debunked. Like Ben, apparently, who heard something from this camp, was saying that it might not be true, but we did hear it. So well, let's just talk about it, I guess. So apparently the Vancouver Surge, or whatever they're gonna be called. What is their Overwatch team again?
Vancouver Titans.
Titans, yeah. So if maybe it'll be the Vancouver Titans this year in COD as well. But so if they do end up moving to Vancouver, there's apparently like a rumor that they could pick up the Awaba Bobs team, which, unless I'm wrong, is an all French roster, I believe. And they
think
could
so.
be picking up Rambo as their coach, which I do know Rambo does speak some French. He's from Quebec. I know he speaks French, so that was apparently a rumor that they could pick up the Awaba Bob's full roster and have Rambo. Apparently, it might be debunked. It might not be true, but that was something that was out there on the timeline.
Something to keep our eye on it.
It'd be very interesting because obviously that Awaba Bob's team was disgusting in Challengers. They dominated for a while there, and Rambo is a pretty good COD mind. It'd be interesting to see him try to mold those young French players into good players, but hopefully they don't make this team move to Vancouver, by the way, because from what I know, Vancouver, would not be very nice for the whole connection in online matches.
Yeah. Probably nice to live there, just not for online.
Because unless I'm absolutely tripping, and I'm not going to lie, I don't know my Canadian geography very well, but I swear, isn't Vancouver like way in the northwest, like by like above Washington?
I honestly don't know.
I'm looking it up quick because maybe I'm tripping and maybe it's all the way on the above the East Coast. I could be so wrong, but I swear it's it's above Washington is what I thought. Let me look here. Where is it? Yeah, it's like a little bit west and just above Seattle. It's like actually just barely over the border. What I thought, yeah.
Okay.
It's like barely over the border of Washington and like at the top left up there in the Pacific Northwest, which already we know like California and like the West Coast, not the best for online matches. And now we're just getting further up into the Northwest. So I can't imagine it'd be very good for matches. Now, hey, if you want to put me up in an apartment in Vancouver, I would absolutely love to live in Vancouver. Seems like a cool place to live, but not great for online COD.
Yeah.
So hopefully they don't move them there. But if it was not for COD's sake and they didn't have to play online matches, I would absolutely sign up to move there because that looks like an incredible place to live.
most definitely.
Um, we're gonna maybe end it out on some sad news before we do our build a perfect COD exercise, and that is the boy Trey Zero retired. Um, kind of could see it coming, but he also did tweet like I got one more in me or whatever, like a few weeks ago. But he retired from competing, an absolute legend. Before Hydra won the world championship this year, he was widely regarded as the best European player, or like right up there with Bance's 1A, 1B for the best EU player of all time.
Yep.
Incredible player, one of the only players to win an MVP of a major tournament as an EU player. Great on that Splice IW team, though. They were to my knowledge, unless I'm missing one, the first European team to win an international major. He also had success on other teams. He was the only person to really give London Royal Ravens any success ever in the CDL.
Yeah.
Also was on that Faze team, which unfortunately I saw their legendary breakdown at BO4 champs, and who knows what could have come if they were able to take down 100 Thieves in that matchup. But a very good player that I feel like a lot of our listeners and maybe modern fans view as a bad player, because man, he was unlucky in the CDL era. He gets picked up by subliners, gets like instantly dropped in MW, and then in Cold War he was supposed to be on London, I believe it was, but visa issues caused him to miss the entire game.
Yep.
And then Vanguard, he gets on Ravens, and early on in the year they look very good. He actually drags Ravens to easily their best year in the CDL era, and then coming into this year, he's on the team and gets dropped like instantly.
Yeah.
And just never recovers. So a very unlucky tenure for him in the CDL, but an all-time legend that definitely we will remember as a very good player and one of the best EU players of all time.
Yeah, I
Probably
remember
on the EU Mount Rushmore of COD.
Yeah, I remember Trey in Black Ops 3. So I remember him for most.
Yeah, gross player.
Had to play a lot of nasty players in his time.
And also one of the most underrated, like, Swiss Army knife versatile players.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you'd see him in 1 year, oh, Trey's a main SMG. Next year, oh, he's playing main AR. It's like I always remember him as a main AR. That's what he was best at, like his splice days and everything. And like he was running the ICR. He's a very good main AR on Black Ops 4. And then like randomly in like the CDL era, on like NYSL, he'd randomly be running an SMG because accuracy was in the team. He'd be running an SMG and he was pretty good at it. It was like he was a very versatile player.
Yeah, he did it all.
Did whatever it was required of him to win.
That is very true.
Sad to see him go. Sounds like he wants to get into coaching, and I think he is a very good mind for the game. I think he'd make a fantastic coach. So hopefully he gets a spot there.
Yep.
All right. Last thing, Brock. OpTic Texas tweeted it. We saw it all over the timeline. We can do it pretty quickly, or about 45 minutes here. Just run through it quick. Don't have to give too much analysis on it. It's just there's no wrong answers, because guess what? Unless you say MW19 for everything, that I might judge you. But there's no wrong answers. It's your perfect COD. So even if people don't agree with it, that's tough, because it's not their perfect COD, it's your perfect COD, Brock. So let's hear it. Categories were campaign, competitive, maps, weapons, weapon camos, create a class, movement, perks, time to kill, prestige system, and developer. And you and I both put like no thought into this. We were just like gut reaction. What do you think for this? Boom, put it down. Some of my answers went off my other ones because it wouldn't make sense to combine certain games.
Yeah.
But what'd you do for your campaign? I think we both have the same answer for this.
For campaign, for me, I did not do MW19 because that game is bad. I did MW2 OG, because that's the only one I've really ever played a few times.
Yeah, I was gonna say both of us just not really campaign guys. I play I'm not a big story game or like RPG game person. I know you aren't either. I like them, but I just like usually when I have time to play games, I'm a very competitive person. So usually when I have time to play games, I'm trying to play ranked, playing whatever game I like at the time.
Yeah.
And like, the one story game I love is Borderlands, but I honestly don't know if I've ever completed a COD campaign. And I saw a lot of people putting like, was it MW19? I saw a lot of COD 4s, a lot of MW2s, the OG one. And you know what I went with? My cousin was a big campaign player, the person who influenced me to ever play video games, and his favorite campaign ever was Black Ops 1. So I said, screw it, we're going Black Ops 1. I have no idea, but I know he loved that one.
Okay.
And I didn't see a lot of people saying it, so I'm like, I'll be different. I'll say it. And like I said, that could be an awful take because I don't play campaigns.
I'll take your word.
Yeah, so I mean, it might be the worst campaign ever. I've heard a lot of people say my favorite game, Black Ops 3, is like the worst campaign ever. I've heard that. The
Really?
campaign is horrible in that game.
I would think different.
Apparently, yeah, but it's like a unanimous thing, so it must really suck because I've seen a lot of people say that it is awful.
Yep.
Competitive. What did you say? So for this, I took it as just like the way the competitive game is played, like the overall just competitive mode, not ranked play. Because if it was ranked played, obviously it'd be like MW2 or Vanguard or World War II. You know, one of our Elo games. Obviously, be one of those games. But I just took like the overall competitive gameplay. What did you say for that one?
Overall competitive, Black Ops 4.
I knew that was going to be yours.
Yeah,
people aren't going to like that one either, but I like it.
All right, let's hear yours.
I said Black Ops 3, which I think for both of us, if we had to guess what the other one was going to say, we probably would have been right.
Yeah.
Because it's well documented that Black Ops 3 is my favorite competitive COD of all time. I know it's probably objectively not the best one. I think objectively the best competitive COD is Black Ops 2.
Yeah.
Just from an objective standpoint, like the maps made the most sense. You know, the time to kill was good. Everything about the game made sense. It is objectively the best one, but my favorite personally. I would do anything to go back in time and be a junior in high school again or sophomore high school and just get on with you and our other couple friends and just grind Black Ops 3
all night.
All night. I would do anything to go back to those times. That was so fun. Black Ops 3 is my favorite. I knew you were going to say Black Ops 4 too because I know you really like that one. That was when I was in college, and that was kind of the joke is me and one of my roommates would play with you and a couple of our other friends. We'd play GBs, and me and my roommate had like a 9:25 a.m. class, which is not incredibly early, you know, on a normal night. But we would be on at like 11 p.m., finish our homework, hop on, play some GBs, and we'd be like, all right, we're going to get off first time we lose. And then it'd be like 5 a.m. We still haven't lost in like 7 hours.
Yeah.
And then we would just be like, we'd be like, okay, we need to go to bed. It's 5:30 a.m. We still haven't lost. We need to go to bed so we can at least get like a couple hours of sleep before class. That was like the joke. But I knew you were going to say Black Ops 4. I think it's an incredible competitive game. Like, obviously, some cheesy stuff people don't like, but in terms of pure fun playing, that game was so fun to play.
Fun to play, fun to watch. Only thing would have made it better is the good old ELO system they have now.
Yeah, unfortunately, the ranked system did suck in that game. It also sucked in Black Ops 3, the one that I chose, though.
Yeah.
The only good ELO or rank systems we've ever had is Vanguard, this year's MW2, and World War II.
Yep.
All right. Maps, what did you say? I'll say mine quick first because it's just default. I just went Black Ops 3 just because I did competitive. And spoiler alert, just to go with that as well, I did movement. I had to package them all together because like if you're doing competitive with Black Ops 3, you have to have those maps to make the jetpacks work.
Yep.
And then you also have to have that movement to make that work. So like probably I think Black Ops 2 would have the best maps, but I just packaged them all together. So spoiler there, but I had to do Black Ops 3 to fit the competitive and movement and maps together.
Yeah. For me, maps, I as well did competitive and pubs. I did Black Ops 3.
Yep. Incredible maps.
It made them. Black Ops 4 was good, but Black Ops 3, I think I played more of that game too than Black Ops 4.
Yeah. I think if I wasn't doing like a jetpacks because I wanted jetpacks, I would have said Black Ops 2 maps hands down because I think, once again, objectively, they're probably the best ones.
Yeah.
But I wanted jetpacks because I really enjoy them.
For weapons,
yeah,
I did Black Ops 4.
I did as well, and I know people are going to hate that, but I don't care.
Yeah, the guns are just so good.
And I just I know people hated it, but I love the way that there was like a literal gun for a flex, which is a Maddox, a clear sub, which was a SOG, and then a clear main, which is the ICR. I love that it was like defined roles, like your flex ran this gun at all times, and your sub ran this gun at all times, and your AR ran this one at all times. And sometimes you pull out a second ICR, and sometimes you pull out a third Maddox or whatever, or a third SOG, but I love the like defined gun for a defined role, and that's why I said those weapons, because even if we're playing 4v4, we get one ICR, we get one or two Maddoxes depending on the map, and then we get one or two SOGs depending on the map. Yeah, I agree. Black Ops 4 subs or weapons easy.
Just made the most sense.
Yeah, no contest for me either. That was a clear one.
All right, weapon camos. Kind of easy one.
I think it's easy.
Black Ops 3.
Yeah, the supply drops. The to me, I'm a big like bright, flashy, reactive camos.
Yeah, reactive camos were so good.
And these recent games are the worst for camos. There's also some good picks, like, you know, you can never go wrong if you picked MW2, like a classic blue tiger, red tiger.
Yeah.
I won't fault you for that. Black Ops 2, even some of the cool DLC camos and everything in that game. Like the original Diamond camo, I can't fault you if you chose that. Even Black Ops 4, but these new games, the camos suck. Like the weapon blueprints is the worst thing they've ever introduced to Call of Duty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
That sucks. Like no reactives. Like if I take off a certain attachment on the gun, it changes the camo. It's stupid.
Yeah, I fully agree with what you're saying.
Yeah, Black Ops 3 weapon camos. I love the reactive. Create a class. I think there's only one answer for this, but I'm curious to hear what you said.
Movement was next for me.
Oh shoot, okay.
I put Black Ops 3.
Yeah, I did as well. I already said that. I had to do it with the maps and competitive. I just packaged them together.
I didn't put that much IW, so I can't pick that.
It was pretty similar to Black Ops 3. Maybe with a little bit less boost, it felt like, but it was very similar.
Yeah.
Create a class, though. What did you say for that one?
Create a class? I did the pick 10 systems, like Black Ops 2.
Yep, I agree. It's the best system by far. No debate.
So good. So good.
Yeah. Best system by far. Perks? You're going to like what I said, so you know what that means.
Let's hear it.
MW3. I thought like if we could do like a specialist type thing, or just I really like the perks of MW3, so I wanted those in there. It's my first non-Treyarch game I mentioned too.
MW3, I also did that as well. Oh, the
just a great perk
bonus?
system. Specialist bonus is cool for competitive in some ways.
Yeah, Ninja too.
Yeah, I mean that's bare minimum. You gotta have Ninja. What'd you do for time to kill? Because I think this could go many ways.
Time to kill for me? I did Black Ops 4.
Yep. I thought about it. I respect it. I almost want to change my answer to it, but for the sake of fun, I said Cold War. So I've seen people play a little bit more, and I like a little longer time to kill. I even maybe like a little bit longer than Cold War, but I thought maybe Black Ops 4 would be a little bit too long if it went to 4v4 with a little less team shots or something. But no, the Black Ops 4 pick's great, but I went with Cold War.
Okay. I mean, if there's no team shots, I kind of like the same.
It's also hard to do the older games, like anything like really older than like Jetpack era, even because like
they're like 2-shot.
Well, yeah, because the hit reg wasn't as good then, so it didn't feel like they were super fast. But now, if you like had the hit reg we have nowadays, you'd get into like when COD 4 got remastered, you'd like insta kill people because the hit reg was so much better.
Yeah,
than it was back in the day when it was first made.
I'm just imagining like NW2, the old one, where they had Stabbing Power Pro but no hit reg. So obviously it's like 3 shots. 4 shots.
Yeah.
But today it'd be like 1 shot.
Yeah, that's what happened in MWR and Modern Warfare Remaster with like the M16. It would like kill you before your 3-shot burst was over with Stabbing Power. If you like hit him up in the head or something, it'd be like a 2-bullet.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was crazy stuff. Prestige system? What do you have? I think we might have the same one for this one.
Prestige system? Probably Black Ops 2, Black Ops 3 area. Actually,
I said MW2, OG MW2.
Oh, like the 10?
Yeah, it was just like it's like the first time I remember like really loving Prestiges. Just like it's like the classic one. I mean, they're all very similar from the older ones. Yeah, but MW2 is like the classic. Just you get absolutely your eardrums blown off when you leveled up. In Prestige. So I mean, you can't really go wrong. They're all the old ones are pretty much the same. Although I will say the Black Ops 3 having the level 1000 and Black Ops 4 having like level 1000 after you get max Prestige was a great touch. Just give me like MW2 Prestige, but then like add the level 1000.
Yeah. If we're going with that, I'm going give me the MW3 Prestige, go to 20 Prestiges, and then the 1000.
Yeah. And developer, I mean, there's quite literally one answer for developer.
Maybe Treyarch.
Yeah, it damn sure is an IW, and I guess, in my opinion, Sledgehammer's not that bad. Like before they were forced to make a squad spawn type game of Vanguard, like I thought World War II and AW, at least competitively, were at least decent. But yeah, I mean, the answer is Treyarch, and you are crazy if you say anyone else. Especially because Treyarch also brings in the best outside game modes. Like Zombies is by far the best extra game mode.
Yep.
Of a Call of Duty, like, you know, whatever, Spec Ops, it's fun back in the day and all that. But like in terms of extra modes, like there's nothing that compares to Zombies, like for a mode outside of multiplayer.
Yeah. 100%.
Treyarch brings that. It's Treyarch. That's the answer. That is the one. Like even if like I'll let you have whatever opinion you want on the other ones because it's like, you know, it's whatever. It's your favorite COD, but like, man, you gotta say Treyarch.
Yep. They don't miss.
The only way you can is if you stopped playing like after like Black Ops 1. And all you remember is like MW2 and MW3. Okay, maybe you can say IW then.
Yeah.
That's
but
about it, though.
overall, Treyarch.
The overall GOAT developer, that's for sure.
Even though my favorite game is MW3.
Yeah, but they've made a lot of bad games since that one. IW has.
Yeah, they sure did.
That's probably the last good game they made.
Yeah.
That's all for us, though. We're about at an hour. If you're ready to wrap it up, we can head on out of here.
Yeah. I got nothing else really to say.
All right. That's going to do it for this one. If you guys enjoyed, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Drop that sub if you're new and you're listening here. Obviously, like I said before the episode, I believe we're at $10.99 for subs. We're one off that 1,100 mark, so we greatly appreciate if you guys would do that for us if you enjoy listening. If you're on the audio platforms, drop a follow, drop that 5-star review. We'll see you next week. Probably talking more Rostermania. We might start getting into more of our offseason ideas. We have like potential draft we want to do. We might do more stuff like we did with building our ideal COD, like building our ideal map set in a series or something, our ideal map pool for like hard points and searches and stuff like that. Maybe something like that we'll do, but we're gonna maybe start to incorporate our new ideas in here as we start to get into off-season content mode. It's dry out here pretty soon, but thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you next week with another episode.